Hey, Yusuf. I'm doing okay. Figure I'd get on for a few minutes before I take off. So, Dr. Graybo, it's starting summer here. Well, it's still spring, but then it goes into summer. Hey, Searchlight, how you doing? Long time, long see. It is. Hey, there's Sharon. Yes, Sharon doing all right. Figured quick live real quick, real fast. Well, not fast, but oh. So, what's everybody into today? What's everybody plans? Well, it's not even 11 o'clock here yet, my time. It's only 10:42. It is 56 here. There's only like an hour, maybe about an hour and a half difference between me and Searchlight. As far as an hour and a half drive. Oh, good. Yusuf. Nah, yeah, that's like me, Yusuf. I got today, tomorrow, Saturday. I can do whatever, but I'm trying to keep myself occupied. So, you guys never seen the Dutch Gray Bow? That's white. There's more of a bulldog. This is a Justomatic, thanks to RD. Yeah, today be a good day to smoke pipes today. This is my first pipe of the day, and I probably want to smoke another one. Oh, you're fine, Searchlight. It's our secret with the commission, so you're good. Of course, I'm smoking Carter Hall. Yeah. Shh. Of course, I let this out last night out here. What's going on? I put my pipes up. But since there ain't nobody here besides me during the day, so The only thing me and my buddies, I got a friends come to pick me up. We go, let's go look at some brush. Doesn't mean that we're gonna do anything with it, but I just gotta let him. He's gotta get a hold of me, and I gotta get a hold of the lady. So look at it. Probably about a $50, $60 job. Now she can move to the street and let the city come pick it up. But more so, I think she wants to hold. If we got to haul it, then it's gonna cost more. Cause the reason why I gotta charge more money, cause I gotta pay the guy for helping. Then I gotta pay for his gas. Then got to pay the dump fee. So it is my well, between me and Searchlight, we got the same time. So it's 10:48 a.m. Almost 12 minutes till 11 in the morning. So you're 6 hours ahead. Say 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. I say you're probably, yeah, see. See. So you're about 5 o'clock. I had to stop and think. Yeah, so you're about 4 or 5, somewhere in there. Well, it caught me off use if you use military time, and I never used military time in like forever. I know there's a lot of people use military time. I used to use it on my phone. I figure about 4 or 5. And I think the high of today is supposed to be the high of 76. Now there's a lot of people does it use around here. Now here within the states. Now if you're in the military or something, they use military time. And there's a lot of guys they get out from the military, retire or whatever. Some of them still use. military time. Instead of using a regular 12-hour one, they used a 24-hour time, which now if it hits noon here, then when it hits 1 o'clock, it'll be 1,300 hours. Then 2 o'clock, be 1,400 hours. 3 o'clock, 15 here, our time. So now I know the hospital up here. Yep. Now I know the hospital up here, they use military time. Digital military time. Somebody asked me here one day, we was up there, it was like 15:30. And they said, Jeff, what's that? Is that the actual time? 50? I said, that's 3:30 in the afternoon. They're using military time instead of regular time. I said, that's military. So I said, don't worry about it. All right. Some people's never been taught, and sometimes I can understand that people's never been taught something. But if you come from a background of from any type of military branch, I don't care if it's the Marines, the Navy, the Army, whatever, and you come from a family, you should know military time. And they should teach it in schools, military time. Starting my first grade on up until the day they graduate. Learn it. So if you go into any branch of the military, you already automatically know what time it is in the afternoon. These kids today has got it easy compared to when I went to school. Most students, I know some schools, I know the school I used to attend, they got laptops. Give the kids laptops. They'll do their schoolwork on. Well, I didn't have that. I've been taught like basic math, arithmetic, but now they're teaching these kids today that I've seen some of the math work they have to do. I didn't have all that. Yeah, I know abstract, multiply, divide, fractions. Yes. Or what's the square root of this? And I had to go beyond my fractions and everything when I was in agricultural industrial diesel mechanics. You got to know it's almost some things like reading a tape measure. Yeah, same here. Now we had calculators but we were not allowed to use them. They wanted you to do it up here. The only time they really want you to use that calculator if you get in a bind. If you can't, like, you try to figure it out on paper, you get to that point, you get stuck, then you can use it. But until then, you gotta learn it. Yeah, they got it simple today. Easy. Compared to what everybody has done, I mean, I don't understand it. See here, I was in probably the fourth grade, and this is back in the early 90s. They had the paddling in school. Okay. Well, when I went to fifth grade, because we had our summer break, which was usually June, July, and part of August. We didn't go back to school until about the second week towards the end of the month, like the 25th or the 27th of every August, we go back. But anyways, they took the paddling out. So now the teachers can't paddle, the principals can't paddle. So that's what's wrong with the school system today. That's what's wrong with the kids today. They have this attitude, you touch me and I'm going to call the law. Well, you go ahead and you call them. When they get here, I'm going to beat your behind and tell them the reason why I'm beating your behind. I shall be worth every bit of it. I know, I'll give you a prime example. I had a friend of mine, had a teenager, bad attitude. She had a bad attitude towards her parents. So one day I was over there and finally I got tired of her and being disrespectful to her parents, me, and finally I looked at the mom and I said, beat her behind. I can't do that. Yes, you can. No, I can't. I said, the heck you can't. That's right, and that's what sad you said. She said, I can't touch that because what can they get you on something you don't leave a mark? What can they do to you? Not a daggone thing. You got two choices. You can either beat her behind or you can get her for unruliness. One of the two. Well, finally, about an hour or so later, she come through. Mom says something, do something. She says no. Her mom took her hand and went whack right across the face. Didn't leave no marks, but backhanded her. I'm sitting there, well, I'm thinking about time. Well, called the law. They show up and talked to mom and them, got both sides. And they talked to me. Yes, sir. We both turned out, got my butt whooped. We all turned out just fine. Well, they talked to me because I was there and I seen what happened. And I told, the law, hey, she deserved it. She needs her behind whooped. I said, she's unruly. She's been disrespectful to her parents. And I said she needs it. And I said, yes, she did backhand her. And I said she had a right to backhand her. So what are you going to do about it? Nothing. There's nothing you can do about it. I said, that's not child abuse. That's not a beat down. It's like, you ain't gonna talk to me no more like that. Well, the daughter thought, ha ha ha, mom's gonna go to jail. Well, no, mom did not go to jail. And I stood right there and heard him tell her, I'm telling you, that's your mother. You don't disrespect your mom. She has every right to correct you. She has the right to backhand you or beat your butt. She has the right. He says, I can take you to jail today for being unruly if your mom chooses to do that. That Dad wasn't around because Dad's at work. So Dad wasn't around. So when Daddy got home and Daddy found out about what happened, she really got her butt beat. My sister pulled that stunt on my mom one time. I'll never get this, Yusuf. She smarted off my mom. Mom had this board. It looked like almost like a 2x4, but it wasn't a 2x4. It's close to it. Well, my sister got mouthy with her, and my mom cracked her across the leg with it. What my sister do? Well, I'm going to go to the hospital, and I'm going to have you arrested, and I'm going to call children's services on you. Well, she did. Boy, that was the biggest mistake she ever done in her life. My dad was the type of person. My dad was the type of person, he'll sit you down and have a lecture with you like I'm talking to you. He'll say, now, Yusuf, now you know what'll happen. You keep pulling that same stunt over and over and over, right? Well, that's how my dad always talked to us kids. He didn't. He might raise his voice just a little to get his point across, but he didn't yell scream at us. You know what I mean? Now, my mom did the whipping. Well, when the children's services showed up, my dad was already mad. Well, when children's services walked in, it was a man and a woman. And this woman, I won't forget, had blonde hair. I won't forget still this day. I was probably 12, maybe 12, 13. No, I'll say about 13, 14 years old. Because I just started mowing grass and everything that summer. The neighborhood. But anyways, I never seen my dad never get so daggone mad. Oh, he was mad. And this first time I've seen my dad get mad. It would take a lot for him to get mad. Well, they took pictures of her leg and this and that, and I happened to walk by when they was taking pictures of something. They got me. The only thing I was doing was passing by, going to the bathroom, wasn't hurt nobody, wasn't bothering nobody. And I was going to go get me a can of pop, get me something to drink, so I was going to get me a can of pop. Well, they got mouthy with me about it. Well, Dad overheard it. Well, he hollered at him. He said, hey, come here. He says, you don't yell at him like that. He says, you're in my house. This is my house, not yours. So what are you think you're going to come up here and do? Oh, he was mad. Oh, he was hot. Had my mom so scared to death. they had my mom crying because she was so afraid she was going to go to jail. That made it worse. That made it worse for my dad. Oh, he ain't even got married. And he hired for my sister, and she came in. He says, "You sit your blank down right there right now." And he says, "Don't you move." He says, "I don't care what they tell you, you're not moving." She knew she screwed up. Well, they asked Dad about it. He says, "What do you think about that?" He says, "Well, she probably deserved it." And he looked at her and he says, "Tara, if you ever back talk to me like that, like to your mother," he says, "what will happen?" He says, "Say it." She put her head down and says, "He'll backhand me." But my dad wouldn't backhand unless you got him super mad. That's the only time he'll backhand one of us or whip us. He had to be like about red. His face has to be about red as his coat can. About red as his coat can before he ever done it. Other than that, he wouldn't. He'll give us a lecture. And he told this too. He says, "Well, he says, if anybody's going to go to jail, it's going to be me. She's not going to go nowhere. And as far as she goes, she's grounded for a month. She ain't going to leave this house." And he told right in front of him, "She ain't leaving this house." He says, "You two are in my house. You two don't have no right to come here to tell me what I cannot do in my own daggone house." I'm using words politely because he was hot. And my dad would never cuss. I mean, yeah, my dad cussed, but he never would cuss somebody out to be disrespectful. You know what I mean? And that's why I was raised. You don't do that. And he says, "I'm going to tell you two blanks right now. You better get the blank out of my house now. And don't you ever step foot back here." He said, "I'm going to give you 10 seconds to get off my property." Oh, he said, "I'm going to throw you out." How dare you come up in here and take pictures of her? How dare you? You didn't have nobody's permission to do that. And he looked at Tara before they left. He says, "Before you go," he says, "Tara," he says, "what did they take pictures of?" "That's right, Yusuf. Oh, I've done it. I've done it here and I've done it several other places. I've done it." And I would say, "I'm not going to apologize for what I got to say, but you're going to hear me." So Tara told him, "Well, the only thing he did was took a picture of my leg." And I said, "Was he in there with you when he took the pictures?" "Yeah, I had to pull down my pants and everything." "Boy, oh boy." He says, and he pointed him, "You was in there and you made her do that?" He says, "Get the blank out of my house. Now you got 5 seconds." So they left. Mom's over here all shook up. I mean, poor mom was all shook up. She was shook up for another hour because what she was so afraid of that they was going to come back with the law with the police department. He says, "Now, Margaret," he says, "don't you worry about it." He says, "Nobody's not going to go nowhere." And he looked at her and he looked at her. She says, "What?" And he went, whack, like that. by Kendler, right across here. Almost broke her nose. He wouldn't mean to done it, but he almost broke her nose. He says, "Don't you ever pull that stunt again like you just did. Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Until the day you pay these bills in this house, you pay for the mortgage on this house, and you make sure and you pay for the food, make sure he gets what he needs for his schooling, wash the clothes, dry the clothes, take care of the car, everything, then and only then you can say, then you can do what the heck you want to do. But until then, you're going to go from this day forth. You're going to go by what I tell you. Well, she calls a friend up that went to school with my mom, knew my mom for years. But they went to school, graduated together. Well, she calls. She sneaks. She waits till everybody went to bed. And normally everybody went to bed around 10 o'clock at night. Especially if it's a school night. Now, if it's the weekend, weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but on the weekends, we could have stayed up late as we wanted. As long as we got up and got our chores done or I had yards to mow the next day or whatever. Well, she called a friend up and snuck out of the house and told her that she wanted to spend a while at the house. Well, a friend of ours never got in trouble with mom and dad because she didn't know what was going on. After the fact, my mom was talking to her, always talk to each other 2 or 3 times a day. They'll call each other. Well, they was happening to talk on the phone, and she picked up and says, "Margaret, what is going on at the house?" She says, "What do you mean what's going on?" This is after everything finally calmed down. Nobody was. She says, "What do you mean what's going on at the house?" She says, "Well, Tara's out here at my house, out on the farm." She says, "Do what?" She says, "I thought she was in school." She says, "No, she's out here at the house." Mom says, "Well, I'll be blank, blank, blank." Well, Dad happened to be walking through, getting some ice for some, my daughters drink ice water, so she was getting some ice. Well, anyways, he looked at Mom. My mom says, "I didn't know what was going on because I was in school." I said, "I didn't know what was going on." So, anyways, I got home. Mom's upset. Dad, he's fuming. That's why I walked in and I looked around. I said, "Dad, what's going on?" "Well, your sister snuck out of the house, went out to so and so's house." I said, "How she managed to do that?" She says she must have done it when we all went to bed last night. Oh, okay. He said, "Did you hear anything?" Back door open because I have my own room. My back bedroom is towards the back door. And I said, "No, I didn't hear nothing as far as it goes." He said, "Did you see anything unusual this morning when you got up with school this morning?" I said, "No, not that I know of." I didn't see her. I said, I thought we always left at the same time. And I said, that the only thing I could think of is, she left early this morning before anybody got up in the middle of the night. Well, she was out there telling a bunch of lies. Again. So, Dad told my mom, he says, Margaret, tell Tara she needs to come home. Just don't be rude about it. Just ask her nicely. Said, just, tell her in a nice way. So finally, after about a week, so and so brought her home. So Mom and Dad had her sit down with Tara. Mom and Dad explained everything, and he even had Tara explain everything, the truth. And she's the type of person that if you lie to her one time, she's done with you. Or you use her a backstabber, she's done with you, as far as being a friend. But she'll make sure you're okay, but as far as being a friend, that's out. Well, anyways, and my mom told us, this, I'm so sorry for her doing this to you. Well, Dad told Tara, he says, Tara, he says, you go in that bedroom. He says, don't you come out until I tell you. So she went in there. She says, well, what about Jeff? She says, well, Jeff, don't worry about Jeff. Jeff didn't do nothing. Jeff's got stuff to do. And which I did. I had to go mow neighbor's yard just right up the street, probably about 3 houses up. I said, I'm going to go mow. That's all right. He says, you know the rule. Be careful, be safe. If something happens, you call. Or you come down here to the house. This is I had a Mountain Dew. But anyway, so it wasn't long after that I went, they were still there. I walked in. Mom says, so and so wants to know if you want to come out to the house for a while, make homemade pizzas and stuff, and just hang out. I said, I don't care. She says, well, you done with the mowing and stuff? And I said, yeah. I said, I got the more stuff locked up in the garage now, so I'm done. Well, about ready to leave, Tara says, well, I wanted to go. And I says, what I tell you, you ain't going nowhere. You're going to sit right here with me. I told you you're going for a month. Mom says, oh, come on, Clarence. She said, just today. She says it wouldn't be fair. It wouldn't be right if Jeff went out there and she didn't. Because they got 2 farms. They got the regular farm and dairy farm. So, we always went out there and hung out. Did whatever. Helped out. And, well, Mom finally convinced my dad of doing it. He says, oh, he caved in. He said, oh, all right, just this one time. And he says, Terry, you're coming straight back home with your mother. Well, see, what made my dad so upset was she got to do everything. She got to go hang out with her friends. I couldn't. She got to go to the fair. I couldn't. She got to go to Kings Island, then places like that, Cedar Point. I couldn't. My mom always made me stay home. And that's the point my dad was trying to make. So when I turned 16, Tara got to, before Tara got to leave home, I was turned 18. She went to every home football game, basketball games with friends. I couldn't do it. Well, I was telling my dad about it one day. I said, Dad, I'd like to go to a home. I said, I'm making the money. You know I'm making my own money. Doing odd jobs, right? And he says, yeah. I said, I'd like to go hang out with my friends at the football game. And since the football game's all with, I can come straight home. We was on, I only lived like 3.5, 4 blocks away from the school. In fact, Dad sat there and he got to thinking about it. And I said, Dad, the football game will be over no later than 9:30, unless there'll be another 15 minutes of the game. And I said, I just like to go hang out with my friends. Dad, I said, you know there ain't going to be no trouble or nothing. He says, he sat there and he thought about it, and he says, you know you're right. There's a lot of things, Jeff, that you never got to do in your life that you missed out on. That you never got to experience doing. So he says, yeah. So he hired for my mom. My mom was in the kitchen. He says, now. He says, from now on. Excuse me for a second, guys. He says, now, Margaret. He says, now, listen. You let Tara. He says, Jeff didn't. He says, Jeff kind of made it a point. He says, you let Tara do anything she wanted to do and get away with it. Right? Yeah. He says, but Jeff never could do anything. Jeff couldn't go to Kings Island. Jeff couldn't go to Cedar Point. Jeff couldn't go to the amusement park. Jeff couldn't go to the fair. Jeff couldn't have a girlfriend. Jeff couldn't, do this, do that. But Tara was allowed to do that. I says, why? Why is that? He says, do you realize that he missed out on a lot of stuff? And now he says, now, Margaret, now, that boy's been making his own money, doing odd jobs and everything out here, and he earns it. He says, from now on, that boy can go to any home football game and basketball games. He's paying his own way, Margaret. He says he ain't come to us for money. He's paying for his own. Says, well, I have to think about that. And he says, there ain't going to be no taking about it. He said, I done said it. It was a Friday. He says, Jeff says, what time does game normally start? I said, about 7:30. But I said, I want to get up there kind of early to hang out. Well, you better get you something to eat before you go up there. I said, Dad, I'll buy something up there. I said, I'll get a couple slices of pizza or something and a pop. He said, well, how much does it cost to get in? And I said, for students, it's $2. For the adults, it's $3. He said, well, that ain't bad. He said, well, how much are their pizzas? I said, normally $1 a slice. Well, I took off. So, but one of my buddies says, hey, Jeff, there's going to be a home dance tonight. They're start doing been doing that. Every home game, there's going to be a dance afterwards till midnight. You think you can go to it? I said, well, I got to be home after the game. I said, unless they gave me permission. Well, here, call here. He says, here, use my phone. He says, call and see if you can. He says, Jeff, he says, there's no sense you walk 3.5 blocks just to ask, then have turned right around and come back up and miss half what's going on. He says, I hate like heck for you have to leave the game early just to go ask. Here. I see, sir. Yeah. So I called. Pardon me. But anyways, so I called. Mom got on the phone. And I explained to her what was going on. And I said I got a couple of good friends of mine. And she knew who they were. And I missed their names. And she knew who they were. Because at that time, usually the parents would know each other's kids. And I said, they're going to make sure I'll make it home afterwards. She says, well, here's running by your dad. It's all right. So I explained to dad what I explained to mom. And I said, I got a couple. And of course, he knew who the kids were because they used to come over to the house, get meal, and we go take walks somewhere. And I said, Dad, I said, they're going to make sure I'm going to be home. They don't want me walking home by myself, and they're going to make sure I'll make it home. That's all right. He said, that's fine. Well, that threw me back. Like, okay. He says, just be careful. All right. So went to the dance because they didn't live too far from me anyway. It's probably another 2 blocks over. Well, got up next, Saturday morning when I get to do my use, got back, and I said, Dad, what did you say that was fine? He says, well, he says, at least you're calling, telling us what's going on. You're being honest about it. And you have proof, witness saying, yes, Jeff was here with us the whole time. I said, how'd you know? He said, I talked to the boys. And they told me exactly where you was at, like you said you were. And I said, oh, okay. He says, from now on, he says, you keep doing that. Now, if something happens, so what they did with me was they bought me this track phone. It's a pay as you go phone. And the only time, and what they did, they don't put like $20 on it for me. But the only time I used that phone was when I went to the football games and stuff. And the home dances and stuff to hang out with friends. Just in case something would happen, I can call. Call home. Say, hey, I'm in trouble. Hey, this what happened. Yada, yada, yada. Or I say, hey, I just got into a fight with some dude. But the only thing I did, um, it took me a long time to come out and tell my mom and dad I had a girlfriend. Because I was afraid I was going to get in trouble for it. So one day, and I just got out of school and happened to see her for a few minutes. So I went home and I said, Dad, can I talk to you for a minute? He says, yeah. He says, what's up? He says, what's going on? I said, well, I don't want nobody mad at me, Dad. But I said, he says, well, he says, are you in trouble for something? I said, no. Did you do something wrong in school? No. He says, then why would I get mad about it? I said, well, I got a girlfriend, Dad. It took me a lot to come out and tell my dad this. Mom was somewhere. He said he got sit there and he got to laughing at me. I said, what are you laughing about? And he says, Jeff, I don't see the problem with that. And you thought I was going to get mad at you. Yeah. Because I knew how he was strict on my sister, having a boyfriend. He says, Jeff, he says, I don't care if he be with her. He says, but there's two things I want you to promise me on. He says, if you would have to have sex with her, wrap it. And he says, number two, he says, don't get her pregnant. Okay, Dad. Well, Mom got home. He told Mom. Mom threw a little bit of fit, and he says, now, Margaret, now that boy is not going to do nothing stupid. Now, at least he come out and said that he had one. He ain't like her. But my sister, on she was born in January, so her birthday is January 20th. Well, the day she turned 18, she leaves home. Well, prior to that, she was sneaking behind Mom and Dad's back. Oh yeah, story time. Well, the reason and the way they found out about it was I happened to be home one day because I was sick, and that's the only time I stayed home from school. I had to be absolutely sick to stay home. Well, there's a letter in the mail just to her from this boy. And the reason why I know about it because I checked the mailbox. That's right, Yusuf. Story time's always trouble time at the Mafia house. But anyways, I happened to walk in. Well, mom, dad had couple bills. I forget what type of bills they were, but they had a couple bills in an envelope. Well, this particular letter was just terror. And I happened to put Mom and Dad was sitting in the front room, and Dad says, Mom and Dad said something. I says, oh, they said, he's out to, he's from. So I was just terror, and it says, up in the corner, it says Leroy Stanley. And I said, you guys know Leroy? No. Do you? No. Do you know anybody she's been talked to by that name? No, and I happened to look down and I said it's from Waverly area. No, Piketon. Get from here to Piketon, here in the high, it takes you over an hour. Now maybe an hour and a half, depending which way you go. Well, my dad's eyes were getting kind of bad because he started getting, he started going blind to one eye and he was can barely see. He could see out his other eye, but as far as reading something, he had to have, you know, pair of glasses or a magnifying glass, whatever. He says, Jeff, he says, open that up and read it. I said, Dad, I don't like to open up other people's mail. He says, no. He says, do it. He says, you got my permission. Well, I don't want to get in no trouble with her, Dad. He says, you ain't going to get in no trouble with her. He says, I'll take care of it. All right, so I got reading it. About 2 pages, front and back. I'm reading it. He says, what's it say? And I said, well, I says, basically saying when she turns 18 to 20th. Now, this is like middle of December. No, it was first part of January. This is wintertime around here. He says, when she turns 18 on the 20th, they're planning on coming up here getting her. The whole family is. Dad says, oh, really? He says, hand that letter to your mom so she can get a little bit better understanding what you're saying. Mom got to reading it. And she told Dad, he says, basically, that's what it says. What he said. Dad says, hand me. He says, oh, he was mad. He says, hand me that letter. He says, blank, blank, blank. He says, here we go. He says, when she gets home, says, Jeff, don't you say nothing. Well, she came home. Well, we were sitting there, and something came up, and I think that it slept a little bit. I didn't come out tell the full thing, but there's one part that came out, slipped a little bit. I forget what I said, but anyways. Well, that like to open up the portals of hell. And it did. Just like I just like opened the gates up. Said, here we go. So, anyways, Dad looked at her and he says, what's this about you leaving home, quitting school, leaving home, going down with this boy and marrying and everything else? I said, who is this dude? Well, I met him at church camp. Church camp. Dad says, you don't go to church camp to get a quickie. I'll get a quickie dicky clickety clickety type deal. I want to laugh. I was very I want to laugh. But anyway, I was like, where in the world is he getting these words at? So Dad says you ain't gonna do it. He says you're gonna finish school and that's it. She was just shy of 4 months from graduating. She says, I'll be 18 the 20th. I said, so you're under my, I don't care, you're underneath my roof. You're going to say what's been, you're going to do as we tell you. Well, I love him. Yeah, I love him all right. Well, the 20th came. What she do? She waited about a day or two after her 18th birthday. She went out there and signed herself out. Didn't tell nobody. So she went on. Yeah. Well, next thing you know, we seen this old pickup truck pull up front, and I said, Dad, take a look. He says, who is it? And I said, I don't know, but there's somebody walking up the sidewalk. Find out who it is. It's okay. I had my suspicions who it was. So I go to the front door, open up the front door up, and I said, hey, I stepped outside. I said, hey, can I help you? Yeah, I'm here for terror, right? Like that. And I said, who in the world are you, son? Oh, I'm Leroy Stanley. You? Leroy Stanley? The one's gonna come up here and drag her out of this house and take her with you? I said, who, you, and what army? Now let me remind you is now we normally have winter, but there'll be some days it'll be warm, be up in the 60s. Well, just for luck, it was warm this day because I can remember I walked out in a t-shirt and I had the front door opened up. Well, Dad overheard me. Dad comes to the door. He says, Jeff. He says, you all right? Yeah. Stood back a minute and he looked and he says, who's that? I said, who do you think? I said, Dad, I'll give you a guess. I said, he's here after somebody. And she's in the house. He's got, he says, don't tell me that's him. I said, yeah. I said, Dad, he said he's going to come there and drag her out of that house. And I told him, I said, you and what army? Dad lost it. He says, he said, I want to see him try to come here and do it. He told him, he says, boy, you're on my turf. He says, step a little bit closer. He says, you want her? Step a little bit closer. He said, I got something for you. Well, here comes his brother out of the truck, and his dad out of the truck. I turned around and I went up to Dad. I said, what did you just do? He said, don't worry. He said, I got him. You take the one, I'll take the other two. All right, okay. Game on now. He done gave me permission to, yeah, put a whooping. So they walked up to the yard. And Dad says, all right, boys. He says, give me about a second here. I'll be back. I knew what I was going to do. He's going to go to get his boots on. Put his boots on. Mom says, oh. I said, yep. I said, I walked back in. I said, yep, there's three in the yard right there, Mom. And I said, I don't want to, but Dad done gave me permission. So we stood out there, and he says, now, here's what's going to happen, boys. He says, you got option A and option B. Option A is that you turn around, get back in the truck, and get on out here and get out of this town. Or option B is you're gonna get your butt whooped. He says, I advise you I would take option A. Well, about this time, some of the neighbors start coming out. Because they all know who my dad is. And they just want to see him just do it. Just, okay. And some of them, yeah, we had another guy, one of our neighbor friends, he came over to even the odds up. Because there wasn't going to be no 3-on-2 deal. There's going to be 3-on-3. And I told him, I said, I tell you what, you take Chubby Cheeks over. I said, I'll take that little T-bone right there. And I said, you let my dad have and I looked at him, I said, you let my dad have beanpole right there. He said, all right. Said, I got you. Well, they didn't take option A. They took option B. Here we are, middle of the yard, going at it. So we let them hit us first because we got witnesses. So we let them get the first crack in. And here we are, man. We're going to Duke City. My dad, all this time, he's cussing like a sailor. Tell him the reason why he's beating him. I got done. My hands are swelled up. My side of my face swelled up. Lost a tooth. Right there. Lost a tooth because of it. Here's my sister out here just screaming her lungs out. My mom's telling us stop. I stopped. But it took me and a neighbor to get my dad off the guy because my dad wouldn't stop until he saw blood coming out of him. So, well, his mom and his sister were in the truck. So my dad hollered at me. He says, "Hey, won't you come in here and pick these 3 blanks off my yard and get them out of here? And don't you ever come back here." Well, we didn't know it. My sister already had her stuff packed up. We was too busy. Well, she's already yelling and screaming, but at the same time, she's loading the truck up. So, all this time, my dad said that. Here comes the law. Well, what's going on? My dad says, well, these blanks wanted to come up in here and going to drive my daughter out of my house, and I wasn't going to allow that to happen. And he says, that never started it. He says, then not when they came out of the truck. They was wanting to fight. He says, I gave them 2 options. You can ask anybody around here because they all heard me. Ask them. He says, I gave them option A was to turn around nicely and leave and there wouldn't be no trouble. Or option B would have been my boot was going up somebody's hind end. and they chose option B. Well, who started it? They did. They asked me who started it, and I said they did. They asked a couple neighbors, and they said, hey, did anybody know who started the fight? They said they did, and they just finished it. They started it, they finished it. They said, looked at my dad and said, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to press charges or just, he says, I'll tell you what I want done. He said, I'm going to be nice about it. He said, I don't want to see nobody sitting in jail. He said, I know what jail feels like sitting there. He says, don't do that. And he says, I'll tell you what. He says, if you can get them off my property and follow them out of town, I don't want them back in this town. He says, I can't stop them from coming back in this town. He said, I can't do that. But he said, I don't want them back on my property. All right, that's fair enough. He says, she just turned 18. She don't have 4 months to graduate. And now she's want to go to them instead. Well, he said, I can't stop her. But once they turn 18, there's really nothing technically can do about it unless they're still living underneath their roof. Well, wasn't long after that, she winds up pregnant. Well, they've been into it. Gotta let her come home. She'll go right back to him. They'll be into it. Gotta let her come back home. Well, the last time she done it, he says to her, he said, I'm going to make a deal with you. He says, if you stay home this time, he says, I will pay you go back to school to get your diploma. Plus, he says, I'll make sure you get all new clothes. Clean. He says, you got any clean clothes or anything? She says, no, I don't. Okay, he said, I'll take care of that. He goes buy her a brand new bed, about $150, $200 bed, so she can have something to sleep on. But she said, but he told her, you're going to have to share the room with your brother. He's going to allow you to sleep back there. But he says also, in the meantime, you're going to have to get a job if you're going to stay here to help. Tara says, all right. She says, I can do that. He says, just this evening time, so he told my mom, well, tomorrow, take her to get what she, here's a check. Go take what she needs. But here's another check. Go up to the bank and get enough money out to get a bed. Well, we already found one, but I told her don't write that check no more than $200. Mom said, all right. Got everything set up for her. She got a job. Didn't take her long. Well, she was not even home, not even a week. What she do? Dad already done paid over $400 some for her schooling. Go back. So all together, it's probably about $600 that I spent. Mom died both, not just died, but mom died both. By that Friday night, she went back down her tongue. Dad blew the roof off the house. He says, "This is it, Margaret. This is it." She got me for 600 some dollars, no more. No more. He says that could have been 600 some dollars, could have been used on something that we obviously need here. He says now it's going to take a while for it to build that back up again. So I done. So she skips again. So I was making a little bit of money. So I was here, Dad. See, by the time I was doing these odd and end jobs, I was making her $200 a week. I was making money on the side. So I said, "Here, Dad." I was giving him $50 every. He said, "What? I should put this in the bank." No, 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 Jeffy, no. He said, "No." I said, "No, Dad. Here." Well, he caved in and let me do it. I figured by me helping, it won't take that long to get where he was back on his money. Because, see, my dad was on disability. So he drawed a disability check. And so did my mom. Due to health reasons. My dad had emphysema and COPD, which means he had trouble breathing. My mom had an enlarged heart, everything, the whole 9 yards. So here I'm helping my mom and dad out to build back up the bank account. Well, dad had his, mom had hers. But they used, I mean, my mom and dad wasn't married, even though they had different bank accounts, but they took the money, put together, so paid the bills and stuff. That's how they always done it for years, just because of that. But my dad always made sure too that my mom had a little bit of money. You see what I'm saying? He didn't want my mom. He didn't want my mom see my mom broke, have no money. So he always told her. He says, "Now, Margaret, now you keep about 200, 250 in your bank, in your account, just in case you need it for something. You know, just in case the car broke down, or need gas with the car, or need a new tire, or she just wanted something for herself. She had the money. You know." And he was the same way with me. He made sure I had money because I was taking what money I was making, helping both of them. So one day, she calls the house just to crying her eyes out, begging to come home. Well, Mom told her, he says, she was sitting in the front room because we always had a phone in the front room and one in the kitchen. Well, Mom come out and told her, "No, can't do it." Well, it didn't take my dad long to figure out who she was talking to over the phone. He says, "Hand me that phone." Well, he says to her, "You're going to have to learn how to work stuff out on your own." He says, "I can't let you." I said, "You can come and visit, but you can't stay." He says, you already got me for over 600 some dollars. He says, your brother helped me put money back in there of what you basically I lost because of you. He says, you know, I can get you for that tire. He said, I got everything right here. And have proof where this money went. But he said, I'm not going to do that. He said, I don't want the money back from you. He says, now, I'm going to tell you right now, he says, I don't want you around here for a while. When the time is right for you to come here to visit again, you call and I'll determine whether or not you're allowed to come around or not. That's the way Dad put it. He wasn't mean. He didn't raise his voice like I'm talking to you, and that was just end of the conversation. As what Dad said, that's one thing about my dad was once he got something in his head, it stuck. It stayed. If he made a decision on something, says no, there's no ways around it. Well, about 3 weeks later, she calls, and this was like about a month. I think it was close to a month before my mom passed away. Well, she came up, died louder. That's right. There you go, Yusuf. And so, but I told her too, if she came up, don't bring him. Do not bring him up here. He said, I don't want him in my house. Well, by this time, she's already got Dustin and Becky. Well, Dad allowed her to stay for a couple of days, about 3 days, with the kids. Because she wanted to bring the kids up so Mom and Dad could see them. Well, he pulls up one night. It was raining this night. It was warm. He comes up there by the trees and starts yelling, screaming, carrying on, wanting the kids and everything. Well, Dad couldn't figure out what he was making out, and Tara says, Dad, he's wanting the kids. I don't want him to have the kids. He's wanting the kids. He said, we don't have to give them to him. Well, they started getting scared, so I put them in my bedroom. I said, hey, guys, all right. They was just little, probably about 3, 4 years old. So I said, hey, why don't you play because I had the original Nintendo gaming system. So I put a game in for them, say, you guys play this for a while. Well, he's out there just a cussing, waking the neighbors up. Dad says, that's it. He says, I had about enough of this. He says, Tara, he says, you're going to have to make a decision right here, right now. He says, you're waking the neighbors up. And I said, you're going to get us in trouble. It's either you get the kids and go back with him, or you call the law and have them come here and you talk to them, explain to them the reason why. So she winds up calling the law. The law comes down. What she do? Changes her mind completely and got the kids and went back with him. Dad says, are you freaking kidding me? Are you serious? She just did that. And I said, yeah, she did. He says, I can't believe this. He says, he was sitting there like he's dumbfounded. He was trying to grasp of all this BS and all this happening. He's trying to grasp it to where and think upon it and ponder on it before he did anything. You know what I'm saying? Before he, in other words, he didn't want to say something, then he's going to regret it later. Put it that way. So he thought about it and thought about it and thought about it. Yeah, thought about it. And he looked at my mom and he said, as much as I hate to do it, she can call from now on, but not now. I said I gave her a chance. And she had to show her hind end. She showed her hind end. He showed his hind end. No more. Ain't gonna happen. But my mom says, but she says, but what about the grandkids? He said, I know that you would love to see the grandkids. But he says, here's the only way you're gonna be able to see them from now on, Margaret, is if she calls, you're gonna have to meet her somewhere so you can see them. So you can see them. Because he says, I don't want them. I don't want them here. It causes too much trouble with my neighbors. He said, I can't have it. He says they'll get to the point, Margaret, that if he keeps this up, they're going to run us out of here. And he says we about got this house paid off. And he says they can make us leave this property and leave the neighborhood, all because of what they're done. Just think about it. He says we got too much money wrapped up in this house for us to lose it. So, Mom says, "Well, yeah, you know, in a way, you're right." So then, on May the 7th, Mom passes away. Well, Tara came up and had the funeral, the whole 9 yards. Then, see, probably, I don't know, a couple years down the road, she gets this guy. Thinks this will be 27 years, 27 years next month. So, anyways, I was married to my first ex-wife. Well, it's around Thanksgiving. So I told my wife and them, I said, I'm going up to see Dad. I said, I ain't going to let Dad sit there by himself on Thanksgiving, by himself in that house. So I grabbed my checkbook. I had some cash on me, went town, filled my car up, and I had to drive about 30 miles, you know, because I live about 30 miles away from him. So I left that, I was working. So I left around about 10 o'clock that morning. No, I left around noon because I got there around about 1, a little after. I walk in the house. Good thing I had my checkbook sitting there, and I said, looked down, Dad had a plate, just got done eating. I said, I figured the next door neighbor brought him something over. I said, Dad, I said, did Phil and them bring you something over for Thanksgiving from next door, Phil and them? He says, no, I bought it. I said, huh? I said, how did you? I said, then I heard my sister and them are in the kitchen. I said, what you get it out, Dad? And he says, well, you know, every year they give it out there. You can buy a thing, the whole Thanksgiving meal for like $50. I said, yeah. So that's where I got it. She says, I've been sitting here for 15 minutes waiting for another plate. I said, okay, you want me to fix another plate? He says, there's no use. What do you mean there's no use? He sat there, sitting there, her and Gay sat in there and ate all that up in there. I went, he said, what? Repeat that? And I said, how much did they give you? Not very much. I went from a happy go camper to being you know what. I walked in there, and I mean, it's like a big feast. I mean, you get everything. This is enough to feed at least 6 to 7 people. At least 7 people. I walked in there, and I'm looking on the kitchen table, and I'm looking at him, and I said, "Are you blinking serious? What in the blank you all think you're doing?" Like that, and they, what do you mean? I said, Dad done told me everything. You guys literally sit here and glutton. Sit here and ate every bit of this up, knowing he's never had a second plate, and knowing he's not capable of coming in here and fixing himself. I said, I'll be blank blank, boy. I said, you two need to get out. What do you mean? I said, well, like I said, get out, go, both of you. She said, that means I gotta go, right? I said, yeah. I said, you done died dirty once again, Turkey. I said, go. I don't want to see you. I said, go. But we was going to go. No, I don't want to go. Out. So I was right behind her. She stopped. Dad, he's making us leave. And I told Dad why. I said, that's not right. No, nuts, he wasn't able to go in there and get you another plate. Not physically able to. I said, Dad, by the time you got your plate and got it back in here, I said, the food would have been cold. I said, that's not right. Dad says, well, he says, we tell you got to go, you got to go. He says, there's nothing. Well, I had a plan to go, and that's the reason why I was making them leave. So they left. I waited about 15 minutes. I said, Dad, I'll be back. He said, where you going? So I was back. I went out there and got two $50 meals. Took it up there. And they said, hey, everybody knew who I was. Hey, Jeff, your sister's just in here. I said, yeah. And I said, Dad's not a physical able body to go in the game. I just found out about this. And I said, I'm super pissed about it. She said, what you do? I said, they sat in there and ate all that freaking food. I only gave Dad a small portion of everything. Didn't even go in there and offer for him another plate or nothing. And they know darn well he can physically go in there and get it himself. Oh, really? Well, it was one of the managers that I was talking to. And I said, I'll come in here and get $250 so I'll make sure my dad's got plenty to eat. She says, Jeff, she says, I'll tell you what. She says, she leaned over, she says, don't say nothing. She says, I'm going to charge you for one. I said, no, I'll pay for both of us. No, you just pay for one. And I said, well, I appreciate that. She said, after what happened, yeah. So I'm going to pay $50. Went back in the house. And I said, Dad, I said, where's your plate at? He said, well, I threw it away. I said, hold on. He said, okay. So I fixed him a plate. He says, what did you do, Jeff? Go out there and buy it. I said, yep. I said, you got two of them in there now. Oh, Jeff, here, I'll pay. No, I don't want your money. I don't want your money. Well, guys, I hate to do this, but I'm going to have to get off because I got some things I got. Well, he should be calling me here any time, so I don't want to be on live and my phone goes off. So I might be on back on later tonight, so just kind of watch. And y'all be safe, be well. This Ohio Mafia pipe. Keep your lip, keep your ears burning. Y'all take care.